What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian.
I'm a hockey player. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To all Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
BlueNote Fan Report. I wasn't even ready. Dum, give me gum. How's everybody doing? Doing a special show today, and I'm not alone. I got Sam. Hey, Sam, how are you doing with me today?
Doing well.
Right. We are going to do a special show today. We are going to grade the players. We're going to grade each player individually, and then we're going to grade the 5 areas of hockey. I think you've heard me say this before, and I know when we did the pre-production, I didn't bring it up. That's bad on me. But do you remember what I call the 5 areas of hockey?
No.
Okay. Offense, defense, power play, penalty kill, goaltending. Right? We will, and that's not, that's the overall, you know, how the offense was overall, how defense was overall. The power play, the penalty kill, and goaltending. So that way, that might help alleviate, because I know one of the way you feel about one of the players, and that might help alleviate some of the confusion on that one when we get into it. But we got Connor. I don't know what that means. Yeah. So we're just going to have some fun with this. So before, what I want to do when we get started, and I'm hopefully I can bring this up, because I did break it up into a couple of areas, and I want to see if I can bring this first part up, see if it's going to let me put this on screen. I don't know. We'll find out here in a second. So the first part I want to do is the incompletes, and I don't think it's going to let me do it the way I want. Here we go. So these are players that, to me, one goal. Wow. These are players that played less than 41 games, less than half the season, or were not with the, you know, just didn't have enough time for us to evaluate them as Blues players. And you know, you can agree, disagree with some of these. But I broke them up into 2 separate, and I didn't tell you this, Sam, so I'm going to surprise you a little bit. But here's the first part of it, right? This is the first group. And we can go over and talk about each one. You have Saad, Prunovich, Joseph, Kapanen, Schumann, Dvorsky, and Snuggerud. And the last 3, Schumann only played 4 games with the Blues. Dvorsky only played 2. Schumann may or may not be up next year. I don't think so. But you know Dvorsky is probably going to be up next year full time. Snuggerud got 11 games, got some points. Again, and not enough for me to sit there and go, oh, I can grade him off of that. Do you agree with that or disagree? Or
No, I agree, only because, like you said, we don't have a lot of info on Devo because he played 2 and then sat and then came back.
Yeah.
So there's not much on him.
Yeah, there's not enough to grade them straight up, right? And then you got the other 4. Now, the other 4 are guys that started the season with the Blues, but were either traded away or given away or just let go. Saad is the one, to me, that I gave him an incomplete, but I could have given him a D, right? He just, this season, did not fit in here and just never got on board with the program, it felt like, from the beginning. He just and you know his first couple of years here, he did well. He seemed to be on it, but this season he just never got with the program. He ended up playing, and now that I've got it on, let's see if I can kind of move it without it taking me out of. Yeah, I think I can still do that. Hold on. I want to pull up his stats real quick. I think it'll still show. Yeah. So Saad with the Blues, he played 43 games. He had 16 points. He was a minus 14. Oh man, I'm losing my. He had 6 penalty minutes. He just nothing with Saad this year said anything to me except I don't want to be here. Right? What were you? Do you have an opinion on Saad at all? Uh-oh, did I lose you?
It's buffering.
No problem. Do you have an opinion on Mr. Saad?
From what I've seen, when I like I said, I haven't watched a lot of Blues games, but from what I saw, he was decent, but he couldn't really find where he fit in.
Yeah. And then you have Prunovich. Now Prunovich, I could give an F to as easily as I can give an incomplete. I know he had a bunch of injuries, but it just seemed like, you know, he came with all this, he's going to be this power play quarterback, and I never saw it. I never saw a shot. I never saw him be that great defensively or offensively. And we ended up giving him away for nothing. I want to say it was, I don't think it was future consideration. It was like a 5th or a 6th round pick. It was nothing, basically.
Yeah, they traded him for like absolutely nothing, which a lot of people weren't very happy with.
You know, I mean, I get it, but oh well, there you go, 2-0 down. Or no, 1-1. Winnipeg scored. My bad, I spelled that wrong. Joseph, I give a straight incomplete to. He came here. I can't remember. P.O. Joseph was the one that came on a trade, or one of them came on a trade. The other one was signed. And
I think P.O. came on a trade.
And his brother was signed. I actually thought it was reversed. I thought his brother came on the trade.
I don't know.
And he was signed.
I might have it. I might have that wrong. I have no clue.
If someone out there knows, they'll tell me. They'll bring it up. But Joseph, just him and his brother. I mean, they're different positions, and Joseph just for being a third line guy, 4th line guy, he just never gave you anything. Right. I mean, and again, another guy we traded away for basically nothing, gave him away. Right.
Yeah.
And then you have Kapanen. Kapanen came last year and felt like, you know, he came from, I think this is right. Kapanen came from Detroit. He needed a second chance, and he got it. But it just, you know, this year, again, same as Saad. It didn't feel like he ever bought in to what the team was doing. And another guy gave away for nothing. I think of these 4 guys that we traded, 3 that we traded and 1 that we just got rid of. We got nothing but a 2 late round draft picks out of it.
Yeah, which was crap.
You know? Yeah. So I struggled with that on how I was going to, you know, how do you can't really grade it. Like I said, with Saad, I could give an easy F or a D minus. Prunovich gets an F, you know, draft pick, never panned out. You know, Joseph and Kapanen just, yeah. So, I mean, now those are my straight incompletes, right? Now the ones that you didn't know about, we kind of talked about it, but the more I thought about these 4, I was like, you know, they're incomplete, but so, that's what I called it. They were incomplete. Incomplete, but I gave him a grade anyways. So Kessel, Tucker, Letty, and Texier all played less than 41 games, right? However, I do feel that in each case, we saw enough to kind of give them a grade, right? Chris Shockey says Snoogie might be an incomplete, but could get an A for what he did. Chris, I kind of see where you're at, but it's not the amount of games he was here. It's not enough for me to sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to give him an A because, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. He needs more games, right? He needs more games for me to see more and him to get more. And yeah, he could be that A minus A plus player. I absolutely agree with that.
I agree with Chris too. And like Ryan Smith, who's our announcer, said, rookies need time to get their feet wet before you really can get to know them.
Absolutely. Right. Devo only getting the 2 games. That's why, you can't give him a grade yet. Kessel and Tucker are the same player. They are the exact same player. They are interchangeable left, right, and center. They play the same type of game. They're the same size. They're the same. I mean, just about everything's the same with them. So I had no real issue with either one. They did their jobs well, but they didn't, they did your job. So when you just do your job, in everyday real society, you get a C. If you do the bare minimum, that's kind of a C in my eyes, right? You do
right.
Just right. You're doing your job. That's enough. You're not doing anything extra. You're not going above and beyond. You're just doing your job. And for me, Kessel and Tucker did their jobs, right? Letty did his job a little bit better. Now a lot of people get down on Letty. Letty was injured, and his injury gives me to raise him a little to a plus, right? Because we've seen a few players, and one of the players that we'll talk about on this list, who's probably going to get a really high grade, it took him 2 years to get over his injury, right? Texier, on the other hand, we got him in a trade from Columbus, and he spent more time in the press box than he did on the ice. But he did spend enough time on the ice, and he did give us something. But he was supposed to be more than what he was. That's why I kind of went with the C minus. Do you have an opinion on these guys, or?
For Kessel and Tucker, because like I said, I've seen them develop. Nick and Tuxie, I don't really know a lot about them, but for Kessel and Tucker, especially Tucker, he's got we used to call him the Spitfire in Springfield. Him and Kessel were kind of like that dynamic duo. You could not separate those two. One was on the ice, the other one's on the ice. One was injured, the other one was out.
Yeah.
They were like, we called them the dynamic duo, and then we got the Bitten brothers, Sam and Will, and they became the new dynamic duo.
Yeah, I mean, but in the AHL, yeah, I get that, but in the NHL, they're interchangeable. They're the same player, right? I mean, and that's nothing against either one of them, And next year, both of them are going to get a solid look at that third pairing, right? To be part of that third pairing or in the box. So who knows what we see there. But that's kind of where they're at now. For the rest of the players, I have put them down starting in lines, top line to fourth line, defensive pairings, and then the 2 goalies. The pairing's a little off because you had Kessel and Tucker and Letty there that were part of that pairing, so they kind of slipped out of there. So I ended up only putting five defensemen, but see if I can bring this up right. We'll see here. Fun. Fun in the gun. Okay, come on, share screen. There we go. Window. Nope, didn't have it up yet. Bring that down. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay. So, the first player that we're going to talk about, Mr. Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas led the team in points. He had 81 points, 60 goals, or 60 assists, 21 goals. He was a plus 20. Ended up having 20 penalty minutes, 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 5 game-winning goals, which tied for second for leading the team. Second, tied for second. He had 1 overtime goal. Sorry, thought he had 2. 1 overtime goal, and he ended up with a 54.8 face-off. Thomas, for me, is an easy grade, and I'm agreeing with Shockey here. Actually, Shockey's an A-. I'm a solid A. I get shoot more. He's a playmaker. I'd like to see him shoot more. I'd like to see him score more, but he should be wearing a C, not the A, in my mind. But he is most definitely that player for me. He was the best player on the Blues this year. Sam? Sam?
Sorry.
Yeah.
my headphones are cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't know how to fix that. What's your opinion?
They broke a while ago, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your opinion?
For Thomas, I don't really have a lot on him, but I'd pretty much give him like a solid A.
Right. Tomer, like I said, he probably should be the captain, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, when
right?
Shen retires.
Or gets traded.
Yeah, no, let's not trade Shen.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I could see it happening. Right?
A friend of mine would not be particularly happy.
Yeah, I was when the captain came out, I had Thomas number 1 over Shen. I thought with his 8-year deal and just what the lead, young leader, I was ready for it. Shen, we'll get to Shen. So our next guy, this one is going to be hard. Pavel Buchnevich. Butch, 76 games. He was injured for a couple of games. He ended up with 57 points, 20 goals, 37 assists. He was a plus 10, 23 penalty minutes, 2 power play goals, 3 game-winning goals, 33% in the face-off circle. Trying to see what he was. 19 minutes, over 19 minutes on the ice. Buchnevich is a very hard one for me to grade. When you and me did the pre-production, I said that the way I was going to look at this was I had 3 criteria: the eye test, the ear test, and stats. And that's my order, right?
Right.
A lot of people were down on Buchnevich, and I think I may have looked at Buchnevich more stat-wise than I should have with the eye or the ear test. If I bring the eye or the ear test into this and really go, okay, what did I see? As good as Buchnevich is, there's times for me where he just was disconnected and uninvolved, but he probably had the moment of the season, right? And this is what a lot of people forget. Our entire season, how it ended, may be based on him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I get it.
just after, I think it was the Islander game. We lose that game. I don't think it was a big loss, but it was a loss. And Bushnevich, who never talks, comes out and basically slams the coaching staff. We don't even practice the offense. You can't win games 1-0, 2-1 in this league. And we don't practice the offense. The next day, Montgomery's the head coach. I think Bushnevich's comments, while they weren't the reason we got a new coach, they were the straw that broke the camel's back.
No, I remember that game because I watched it, and a lot of my friends were like texting me, and they're like, if Buchnevich doesn't keep his mouth shut, something's bad's gonna happen, stuff like that. And like you said, the next day, Bannister's fired, and we get Montgomery.
Yeah, Chris gives him a B-. He overthinks the game sometime. He gets down on himself. That's a great point. I think a B- is a little. Oh, man, I'm gonna have to go with a C+ on him because I think it could be so much more. I mean, I don't think he's a point per player game, but I think he's closer to a 70-75 point player than what he got this season. I think he's closer to a 70-75 point player, and I think he should be under a solid offense like for next year.
I think he just has to find those players that he connects better with. He has to find those kind of people.
Well, I think he connected. I think he played well. That the line that he's on, I think it was a good line. I didn't have a big problem with it. I will say for next year, I would like to see one change to this line that I think will help this line. But I don't know that I think with Bushnevich, it's just that the defensive structure really messed him up. And now that we're an offensive team, I think you could see more from him. Right?
Right.
Our next player. Give me Jake Neighbors.
Pekka 2.0.
Jake 2.0. Like a good neighbor, Jake is there. Jake is a tough one for me. Jake Neighbors ended up playing all 82 games, 22 goals, 24 assists, 46 points, 56 penalty minutes, very fiery guy, 6 power play goals, 3 game-winning goals, 1 overtime goal, 15.54, almost 16 minutes on the ice. Neighbors for me is a B, shifting towards a B-. For a first-round draft pick and for the time that he's had, I would have liked to seen him do a lot better. However, next season, what I'd like to see is him shift down on a line with Dvorsky and Snuggerud.
Yeah, you put Jakey on the line with Devo and Snuggie. That's going to be unstoppable.
I think the speed, the creativity, the offensive mindset is there. I think Neighbors is now enough of a veteran that he will help bring those guys up. I don't look at Snuggerud as a complete rookie because he is 21. He's not a 17-year-old rookie. I think Devo needs that creativity. Devo didn't get a chance to show off his creativity, and that is where I think this line a line like that would help him. It probably won't happen, but I think at some point you will see the three of them on the ice, and if they're given more than a cup of coffee, they could be something special, right?
Yep.
Chris Shockey says B+ would have loved more scoring, but it's a sophomore slump, and he's more talented, and he's a more talented backer. So I'm okay with that. That's good. I like I said, I think I gave him a B to a B minus. I kind of dropped him down a little bit, but like I said, I mean, this line was not bad. It played. This was the line that was the top line the most. What I want to see for next season, and I'll wait until we get through the lines, and then I'll go over what I want to see for the lines next season. Sound good?
Cool.
Cool. I like that. Let's go to our next guy. This next guy was extremely hard for me to grade. In fact, I've changed the grade 100 times, and I'll probably change it before I say it. I'm going to let you talk about this guy before I do. The captain, Braden Shen.
Shenner. Oh my God. I have to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Maggie. It's her favorite player on the Blues. She's absolutely obsessed with Shen, and she would give him a straight A for being like the best captain the Blues have ever had.
No, I don't know about that, but yeah, Maggie may not like me. I might not be getting her to watch the film. So Braden Shen had 82 games. He had 50 points, 18 goals, 32 assists. He was a +3, 61 penalty minutes. He was there. 2 power play goals, 5 game-winning goals, second on the team, 2 overtime goals, and 17 and a half minutes on the ice. I have given Shen a grade anywhere in my mind from a B+ to a D-. And I have gone, I still haven't been able to settle on a grade yet, right? There are things with Shen that I look at and go, incredible. And then there's other things that I go, I don't know. I think there's times where he was a great captain. I think there's times where he was not a great captain. I look at, his 18 goals and go, as a second line center, is 18 goals enough? Is 50 points enough for a second line center? And I struggle with, the answer is no to me, right? The answer is no to me. So
I like Shen, so
I get it.
I kind of give him like a B.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but again, one of my criteria was the eye test, and the eye test, I got pointed this out to me a lot. Shen's not doing enough. I mean, doing the show, I would see people complain about Shen pretty heavily. I think he could have been more physical, but he didn't come into the C till Monty got there. And that's a good point. That's a good point. And I'll go a C+, but it's a struggle to give him a C+. Now, the next player is the most polarizing player on the team. And I almost gave this player an incomplete. He played, I think he played 82 games, or very close to it. But I almost gave this player an incomplete. Jordan Kyrou. Kyrou, 82 games, 70 points, 36 goals, 34 assists, 20 penalty minutes, +23, 4 game-winning goals, 7 power play goals, 17 and a half minutes on ice.
I give him a C.
Say again?
I give him a C.
See, that right there is Jordan Kyrou is not a media guy. And because he's not a media guy, because he's not that guy that will talk to the media and give them their quotes and all that stuff, they get down on him. And I talked about this a couple days ago, with the exception of one media member, they all, when they post about him, it's about a mistake he made before it is about something good he did. Even if he scores a goal, it's because the other player made a perfect pass to him. It's not because of what he did. It's rarely because of what he did. They temper their tweets and their messages towards and about him. And for me, That has a lot to see. I look at Kyrou and I go, for the last 2 years, this guy's led the team in goals. He was first in points last year, second in points this year. His job is not to get the other player off this puck. His job is to put the puck in the back of the net, and he does it better than any other player on this team. Is he a 45, 50 goal guy? I think he is. And I think with a full year of Montgomery and a full understanding of this offense, he's going to be that guy. I'm with Chris. I think an A- comes up just fine. He did what he was paid to do, especially after Monty came in. I kind of agree. I'm with the A- on here. I think, and again, he's a polarizing figure because the media here treats him. They give him a bad rap, and I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I never will.
I don't understand it either. I watched some of the press conference, and they were kind of ripping him a little bit of a new one. Him and Schenner.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no well, you got to look at this too. Well, because of Berube, yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with Berube's got a lot to do with it. I
think like Berube kind of destroyed them a little bit.
Berube tore this team apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Berube tore this team apart. He did not strengthen this team. He tore it apart. And, Shen even said at one point when they were winning, there's a lot of love in their locker room. Hadn't been there for a while. Right? Well, this is why I have struggled with Shen and why I struggle with my grade on Shen was, wait a minute, as the captain, it's your job to get that love in the room. If it's not there, sometimes you gotta find that common enemy. And if the coach is the dick, make the coach the common enemy so you have that love in the room and you win despite the coach. Right? And this team just never got there.
I think when Hofer came down, he talked about Berube a lot and how he treated them. He treated them like crap.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he did. Right. In fact, I know a couple of things. So pre-Hofer era, but yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Right. Hofer probably felt like there was nothing he could do right.
No, even like when Binnington got the suspension, and Hof had to fill in, he was so petrified that he was going to screw up in front of Berube and get completely ripped apart.
Yeah, you can't play like that. You can't play like that. It's impossible. It's just impossible to play like that. Okay, next guy. Next guy was an easy grade, but a hard grade. Dylan Holloway, the first of our two offer sheeters. Holloway for me is an easy A.
Yeah, easy A.
Easy A. Holloway, of the two offer sheets, when they first come up, I didn't have I thought these were just two AHLers that we were getting. I didn't realize what we were getting. And I admit I was wrong. But I think Holloway was the if they could only gotten one, I think he's the one they wanted. And the fact that they got two just made it, icing on the cake. I think he outperformed his contract. I think he gave us part of the reason we lost was his injury. Right? Part of the reason we lost was him not being there. If he's there, this is a different series. Kyrou's a different player. Shen's a different player. So I would really, really like to see, him healthy, and hopefully he will be healthy, right? A $2 million forward off an offer sheet. Yeah, it really came out. It came out great. The guy was an A player, plain and simple. Right? Agree with me?
I agree. Like you said, with the injury, he had, it really did take a toll on the team. You could see it.
Yeah. All right. Next, the third line, our third line center. I have an easy grade here, and people are not going to like it. I'm a D.
I agree with that.
For what Sonny was supposed to be, for what he came in to do, he just never felt like he did it. Right? Shockey says, once again, I think he is what everyone wants Kyrou to be. And I think he's talking about Holloway there. Next year is going to be so fun. I agree, Aaron. I honestly hope that they find a way to move Sundqvist. I really do.
They need to get rid of him.
Right. I really hope they find a way to move Sundqvist. We didn't even go over Holloway's numbers. Holloway played 77 games, had 63 points. He's going to be a point per player game next year. 20 plus 21, 10 penalty minutes. He led the team in game-winning goals with 8. Right there. That told you everything you need to know on almost 17 minutes of ice time. Right. Sundqvist played 67 games, 20 points, 6 goals, 14 assists, -6. I don't know. That's just kind of where I am. I want more out of my third line guy than what we got. I absolutely want more out of my third line guy than what we got. And just felt like he wasn't. I mean, he was serviceable. D-, yeah. So even Shockey agrees. So I'm not feeling too bad giving him that D grade.
No, I agree.
Our next guy, Mateo Joseph. Joseph is another easy grade for me. I give him a C-. It could be a D+. He was in and out of the Prex box with Texier. He did have moments of brilliance, but not enough. I can see him, because he's still young enough, being on this team next season. But if he is, he's going to have to really step it up. I want to check his age. I think he's 27.
Mateo.
28. He's 28. So I was a little off. 28. Dallas scored. There we go. Rantanen. 2-1. Joseph's a C, right? Joseph says not great, but not terrible. Aaron says incredibly average player this year. I'll agree with that completely. Got no problem with that. Now we go to the other side of this line, and this is a hard grade for me. I know you're going to be an easy grade on this one. This is going to be a hard grade for me. Mr. Bolduc. Boldy. What is your grade on Boldy? I'll let you go on this one.
For the amount of time I knew Zach, he's like a giant freaking teddy bear. And I absolutely loved him when he was here in Springfield. He really did help me out with a lot of my issues that I had. For his attitude, I give him an A. For playing ability, I give him a B. And for the rest of it, I just give him a straight B-.
I'm kind of with Aaron on this. Chris says C, wrong guy. Aaron said C- C+ to a B in my humble opinion. I'm a little closer to a C to a C-. And yeah, Chris said it took him a bit. He didn't score a goal until Montgomery came, right? And now here's the change that I'd love to see. I would like to see him get more time on that line with Thomas and Bolduc. Or Thomas and Bushnevich, pardon me. With Thomas and Bushnevich. I think that line would really, really help him. And I think if you take Neighbors and drop them down to, quote, a second line, and I'm saying quote here, and then take our second line and make it a quote, unquote, third line, but really make it 2A, 2B, to where you're rolling your lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. So that second and third line are getting the same ice time, right? And when you shorten your bench, you don't have to completely shorten it because you're already playing that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that will help Bolduc out. Bolduc ended up with 19 goals. His goal was 20. He will get better than that next season, I'm pretty sure. 36 points, 20 plus 20, 7 power play goals. He had no game-winning goals, but I think those will come. I want to see. I know he was a rookie, but I want to see more from him. I really, really want to see more from him. Him and Snoogie on the power play with two one-timer threats could be special. And yeah, could be, but I need to see more from him. I really do. So that's why I'm going to stick with a C. Right? Sorry, Sam. Right. Okay. Next line. We're going to start with the F of the WTF, Mr. Fosca. I'm going to preface this. This line for me, right, cannot be graded individually almost. You have to grade this line. You almost have to grade this line with the players together, right? And Fosca, who we signed Fosca as a free agent on a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. We got him on a 1-year deal, and for what he did, he was fantastic. However, for what he's paid, I struggle. If I have to grade him individually, I am giving him a D. If I'm grading him with the WTF line, I am giving him a B+. Right? Because of what he meant to that line. My problem is your fourth line center should not be getting paid $3.25 million.
No.
Your fourth line center is a $1.25 million guy. $2 million at the most, not 3.25. And
that's crazy.
He was brought in to be a third center, and he ended up getting dropped to a fourth. He did great at it, but I struggled there. C, but if you put them together, easily B+. That WTF line tore it up. I will die on this hill. I'm with you. Shockey gives him a B+. Again, I said with the line, I will give him a B. Without the line, I give him a D. Now we come to the guy that I think is going to be, for me, was the easiest grade out there. There was no other grade, and nothing else mattered. Aussie! Oi! Nathan Walker. I will let you go first, and then I will throw my 2 cents in there.
The short time I knew Walker, when we first came to Springfield, he's a giant teddy bear. Like I said, he's one of those guys you can love or hate him. Great player, great attitude, great with the fans. Actually, photobombed one of my photos I have up on my wall. Never gonna let him live that down. But for overall, I give him a straight A because he was like a big giant flipping teddy bear when we had him. Still is.
Walker gets an A+ for me. He is. Now, I said Thomas was the best player on the team. The MVP of the team, the most valuable player, the player that meant the most when he was on the ice was Walker. Nathan Walker set career highs in points and goals with 8 and 16. Well, 16 and 8, respectfully, points and goals. He had 63 penalty minutes. He was a fire plug. -5, I'm okay with that, fourth line guy. But he did so much when he was out there. And this was 12 minutes on the ice. The 12 minutes he was on the ice, he was the guy. Nathan Walker was the guy while he was on the ice. There is no ands, ifs, or buts for me that Nathan Walker was the MVP of this team. He brought it every time, and I can't. I said I was going to look it up, and I ended up not. But there was a game where he was a healthy scratch, and they came out, and it was evident that something was missing. Then he comes back in, and he never goes out again. And I think it was the game he was out was the game before the 12-game win streak started, and he came back in the 12-win streak. That every time he was on the ice, something could happen. In the playoffs, he was scoring goals when no one else was. He could make things happen when no one else did, and his size doesn't matter. His skill doesn't matter. He brings it, and I call him the David Eckstein, and I know you're a Boston, Red Sox fan or whatever, but he's the David Eckstein of the Blues. He's an Energizer Plus guy, Energizer Bunny player, and that type of player you need sometimes. And he was it. He was it when he needed to be. I can't talk enough. He's got my highest grade. He's got my highest grade, A+. There was no player that meant more to the team than he did. Right?
Yeah, he's like I said, giant teddy bear. Love him to death. I only knew him like 3 months.
Last player on this group, Torpo.
The torpedo.
The torpedo. I have a hard time grading Torpachenko because I absolutely love Torpachenko's game. And I think in some cases he's getting the skill coached out of him because I think he's better than what he's being able to show. And for that, I'm giving him a C because I think he can be so much more. He's got speed, he's got hands, he's got a shot that reminds me of Tereshchenko somewhat. Yeah, see, Chris is right there with me. Got me and God, this is scary. Me and Chris are almost on the exact same wavelength today. Really scary. I just think he's got more to offer. Right?
I only knew Torpo for like 2.5 months when he was with us, so I can't really grade him because I didn't really get to know Torpo when we had him. He was here for like 2.5 months. Not even like 2.5 months, like 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, it just tells you. I mean, when he's been called up, he got called up, and I don't think he ever got called back down. And he's earned his position here, but he still can be better. And I think another year under Montgomery might elevate him a little bit. I would like to see it. I really would. Right? So now that is our forwards. That is our 12 forwards. Now we will get into our defensemen. And our first defenseman, Mr. Colton Parayko. This is an easy grade for me. There's no other grade. There's only one grade that I can give Parayko. Now I'll go over his numbers real quick. Colton Parayko was tied for the leading defenseman with 36 points. He had 16 goals, 20 assists. I think he led defenseman in goals. Yes, he did. Led defenseman in goals, tied with defenseman in points. He was a plus 12 as a defenseman. And he just, 23, he led the team in ice time, 23 minutes, 45 seconds. And he only played 64 games because he was injured there for a little bit. Chris, we just blew the wavelength. Chris says, I think for everything he brought to the ice, says, I'd like to see him be better, but B- for not clapping it. I'm not sure what you're going with that for. You got me there, Chris, a little bit. I think. Oh, okay. This was for Torp, I think. Yeah. Okay. I'm with an A with Parayko. I'm with an A with Parayko, and I think I'm taking the injury into account a little bit, but I'm with an A for Parayko.
A minus.
A minus. I'm okay with that. I can go with that. Okay, next one. This is another easy grade for me. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Cam Fowler. There's only one grade for Cam. That's an A. This man rejuvenated his career, reinvented his career the moment he got traded. I will agree with that with Colton. He should be more constant on the power play, and they took him off a little bit. I will agree. Fowler is an A for me. He tied with Parayko for points at 36. He had 9 goals, 27 assists. He was a plus 19, 21 minutes on the ice. We've got him for another year at a cheap price. He wants to be here. He's playing. He played like a new man in the playoffs. He led the team in points. Right, the guy is rejuvenated. He needed to change the scenery. He got it, and it showed. So I am more than an A is easy for me on this one.
I'm not saying anything because he came from Anaheim, and like I said, the last time I know an Anaheim Ducks player.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Now let me get back. Okay, next guy. I think I got not. I think I know who the next guy is because I had to play with my numbering because I have them numbered so they would show up in order, and I had to play with my numbering. So I think I know who the next guy is. Yeah, I do know who the next guy is. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
It is Justin Falk, the Falketeers. Fowler is why I think Peterson will be a different guy on a new team. Yeah, and it's possible. It is possible, right? But Peterson has to want it, and that's the difference. I think it showed that Fowler wanted it, and I don't know if Peterson has shown that he wants it. But again, could be wrong. Falk had a good season. I know people got on him, but Falk, 78 games, 4 goals, 28 assists, 32 points, -9, 22 and a half minutes on ice, just under, 1 game-winning goal. Just off the bat, I got no issues with Falk. I give Falk a solid B. All right, I'll give Falkman a solid B.
I'm gonna be generous and give him a C minus.
C minus. Let's see. I'm waiting to see if someone else chimes in here. Man, no likes on Facebook today. Wow. Oh well. Nobody likes me anymore. That's okay. No one's chiming in. See, he still waits too long to turn around, so people get around him, and he's better offense than he was this year. Yeah, okay, that's fair, Chris. That's fair. Okay, the next one I think is somewhat of an easy but a tough one to grade. Right? And that would be, if I got my numbers right, Mr. Boberg. Boberg, who was our other offer sheet guy, had 29 points, 8 goals, 21 assists, was a plus 21. Only 16 penalty minutes. Had 2 game-winning goals, 1 overtime goal, and 20 minutes on the ice, playing on the second pair mainly. Boberg's a solid B plus for me. Solid B, maybe a B plus. I think he came in and did what he did. I think he's getting paid a little more than I'd like to pay a guy doing what he's doing for his age. Excuse me. But he's going to grow into it a little better, and I think that big things are on the horizon. Any grade on Mr. Boberg?
I give him a C.
Chris says A, he's only going to get better. That's why I'm sticking with the B plus, because I think he is going to get better. Right now, I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. I think he's still got room there, Chris. That's why I kind of was, a little bit harder on the grade. Next one was really hard to grade. In fact, again, this is another player where I've gone like over and over in my head with what the grade will be. Ryan Suter. Ryan Suter came in here as a twice bought out player, played all 82 games, has the oldest player or the next to oldest player in the NHL this year. 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points with 19 and a half minutes per game. He was cheap, he was serviceable, and he got the job done. B. Right? I can't give him an A, but I can give him a B. I'm not going to give him a C because he came in at the age of 40 and played 20 minutes a game. Right? He accepted his role and he was good at it. So I will give him that A. Or B, pardon me. B plus, he did great for an old fart. He's a lot closer to your age than mine, Chris. Just remember that. Yeah, cheap because he's getting paid by 2 other teams. I agree with that. Well, that is all our defensemen, because we covered some of the other defensemen in the incompletes. So now we go to the goalies. And I can't shield you. You're just going to take the heat, okay? And I'm going to let you go first on this one. So we are going to go to the first goalie. All right, here we go. Our first goalie is Jordan Bennington. And I already know what your grade is, so I'm just going to let you go.
Straight F. I do not like him. His attitude was horrid. I heard some very horrible stories from a couple of the guys who had to deal with him when they came back down to Springfield. Torpo told me a lot of it. Tucker told me some. Kessel, Bolduc, Hofer told me a lot of horror stories. Just some of them were not very pretty. The fact that him and Berube were buddies when Binner got his suspension, he had a basic shit fit, saying he didn't deserve it, things like that, and kind of ripped Hofer a new one for taking his spot. And his attitude was straight up awful.
I want I love you to death, Sam. You know that, right? I want my number one goalie to have that attitude. I want my goal. And first of all, he's absolutely right. He did not deserve that suspension.
No, he didn't. He didn't do anything wrong. It was all Marc-Andre Godet or Marc-Andre Fleury. It was all him. Fleury went after him.
Well, it was part of it, but it was Hartman. It was Hartman who went after him. And Hartman even told the goaltender or told the referee he was going to do it. And then the referee penalizes the goalie. So I look at Binner. Binner is to me. So when I say eye test, ear test stats, Binner is the epitome of that, because the eye test tells me he plays so much better than what his numbers are. He plays so much higher than what his numbers are. And this season, when they needed a guy to play at that level and to raise his game, he did. He's an A for me. He's the only other guy that could be an A plus in my eyes. And I get what you're saying, and I understand that, but I want him to have that attitude. I want him. And there's the other thing. I think it pushes the younger guy. I want a younger guy to be pushed. Because if Hofer is going to take his place, I need Hofer his level to be the same or just slightly under it. And right now, I think Hofer's closer to here than here. right? I don't think Hoffer's here yet, right? I don't. I think he's here. Can he get here? Absolutely. But he's not yet, and I need him to be pushed. If Bennington's going to push him, I got no issue with it. None. I think Bennington refound his game. And I said this, I think someone during the Four Nation really, really caught something. And he was tipping his pitches, and they came up. I was very, very happy with what he got.
I got to give him credit today anyway, because Team Canada got the shutout against their rivals today in the junior championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And Shen actually got an assist on one of the goals. So, kind of trying to not be on the Bennington heat train today, but I can't get over the.
No, and that's fine.
I can't get over the horror stories that I've heard about this guy.
And you know what? That's absolutely fine. It's fine. And some of the best goalies in the world were pricks. I mean, when you talk about them, playing time, they were. Maybe after they weren't. I mean, Patrick Waugh is considered one of the best goalies ever, and he was an absolute horror to play with. Right?
I think Benner's just jealous of these young guys coming in.
Right. Well, okay, but his job is to push those younger guys.
Right.
That's his job. He's got has that guy. He has that, and you got to remember, this guy's got to play with it. He was a 25-year-old who was fifth on the depth chart before he came in. Yeah, I have seen Waugh play. There, Lance. I think you might be saying about Sam, but I think that his job is to push the younger guys, and that's what he does. And you know what? A goalie's got to have an attitude. I don't have an issue with his attitude. I don't at all. He is a solid A for me. And I think with this team next year, he could be a Venza candidate. He really, really could. Right? Our last player, Sam's favorite, Mr. Joel Hofer. Right? Let's see here. Come on, guys. Let's be nice. I met Raw when he was yelling at his kid's cousin, cussing him out in French. Are you going to come get me in trouble, Lance?
No.
You're going to come be?
No.
Well, we're almost done, bud.
Well, I just wanted to say something about some of the comments about Bennington.
Go ahead.
Bennington it should not ever be compared to Patrick Waugh or to Hextall. Two totally different attitudes towards the game. Bennington sticks up for his team, sticks up for what's going on when it's not right. He doesn't do it every game. Hextall and Waugh would pull something every single game. And yes, goalies are jealous, but they still love their goalie mates. They have to get along. And if a goalie didn't want to play every game, I'd be worried, because goalies want to play every game. A good goalie, the greats of all time, the ones that love the game, the ones that want the pressure, they want to play every game. They'd love to play 82 games, even though they don't want to, even though they can't. I mean, the closest to come to it would have been Grant Fuhr, and he's just a robot among normal human beings when it comes to playing that many games. I'm not trying to argue or anything. I just wanted to give kind of an opposite thing, because as a goalie for 36 years, I wanted to play every game. And I loved my 99% of my goal partners I played with, but you have to have that edge. You have to have Goalies, and I'm sure people have heard it before, goalies mindsets are different than every other player on the ice. Goalies are strange, and that's just us. That's just the way we are. And I think Bennington's one of the best. He handles pressure when he has to, but when somebody does something stupid, he's not just going to sit there and not let it happen. Hextall actually hit people in the bodies and in the legs and the was one time in the head with a stick. Bennington's never actually hit somebody in the head with a stick or a body. He'll hit them in their knees and the back of their legs, but every goalie does that. I just wanted to stand up for the goalies out there.
No, and so let's take the temperature down a little bit. Sam does have some connection to a lot of the AHL players on Springfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has, she'll hear things that she can't tell us, obviously, and she's going to base her opinion off of some of that. That's fine, right? Say that is absolutely fine. She is absolutely welcome to her opinion.
Right?
No,
I wasn't saying that. I just wanted to give my opinion, from my side. She's very entitled to her opinion, and I'm not going to say her opinion's wrong because, like you said, she knows stuff and she's seen stuff, and I'm just stating my opinion. That's it.
Right. I think when it comes to, a goalie, that is a guy, a goalie needs to have an edge. And I'm not saying, I'm talking about be edgy, have an edge, be sharp, have a sharpness of them. And because of that, it brings having the edge is different than players. Matt, well, you're right, and I get that. I do,
but it kind of goes with it. I mean, if you've watched Colton Ellis this year, especially in the second half of the season, which I'm sure she's seen him all the time.
I've actually met him like 3 times already.
Yeah. When he gets in that goal, when he's in the goal crease, he has an edge because he wouldn't be able to play as well as he's been as he was playing towards the end of the year. I mean, heck, you saw it. He was facing 38, 45, 44, 48, 50 shots a game, and he's one of the reasons that they played so well towards the end of the year. I mean, but you've got to have an edge.
Right? He was the reason we're alive in the playoffs, but unfortunately we got a mercy killing. Hey, we would have gotten destroyed by Hershey if we made it. We would have got if we made it, we would have gotten killed.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been anything like the Providence series.
No, that would have been a clean sweep from freaking Hershey, and we're all praying to God that Charlotte does a clean sweep for them so we can get a little payback.
Yeah. So we'll go back to Hoffer, and Hoffer for me, he did his job. He absolutely did his job. He 28 games started, played in 31. He was 16, 8-3, had a 264, a 904. He had 1 shutout. He had an assist, so he got a point. Only 2 penalty minutes. Here's the difference between Hoffer and Bennington, in my opinion. Bennington was 28, 22, and 5 with a 269, a 900, and a 900. Hoffer had a 264 and a 904. When I hear Hoffer's numbers, I say Hoffer played at those numbers. When I hear Bennington's numbers, I say Bennington played above those numbers. And he played better than his numbers. That is the difference to me. And that's why with Hoffer, I'm going to give him a B-. I think he's better than a C. Backup goalie, did his job, did it well. And I can go with a B on there. Sam?
I give him a B+, and so does my friend Maggie.
Yeah. Lance?
I give him a B+ because he definitely has grown since his first year in the NHL, and that's all you can ask for a goalie. As I've said before, the hardest position to learn and to get good at and to mature quickly is a defenseman. The second one is goalie, and what it comes down to is your brain. If you're in the NHL, you've got skills. You're a good goalie, but the difference that sets apart the good ones from the great ones is in the mind. And I think Hoffer's a lot like Bennington that way. He just goes about it differently. From what I've heard, and I don't know him, and maybe you've talked to him in the past when he was in Springfield. He's kind of low key. He reminds me his personality a lot of Jake Allen's, and I might be wrong, but from what I'm told, he reminds me a lot of Jake Allen's personality.
I actually have something very, very special of Hofer's. If you guys give me about 30 seconds, I can actually grab it and show you guys.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely. Yeah, she'll be right back. I think I
That's
know
fine.
what she's got. But no, Hoffer did well.
Yeah, I can see either. I can see a B. I could see some people saying a B minus. I definitely don't think he deserves a C. I've seen a lot of C's around for him, but people are either seem to be really high on him or really low on him.
Yeah, I thought for me, he played at his numbers. When I hear his numbers, I go, yes, that's where he played at. 264, I saw that. 904, I saw that.
Yeah.
That the eye test and the numbers match, right? That's the difference here. His eye test, when you look at the eye test and the numbers, they match. Hold on a second, Sam. Let me.
Cool.
So you can have a little bit more. Here we go, Sam. There you go. Floor is yours, ma'am.
Cool.
This baby is very, very, very special to me. Actually sent to me by Hofer. International Ice Hockey Federation Team Canada game worn Joel Hofer jersey.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So
it's very,
sweet.
very special to me.
Yep. Now you got to get Sam. Now you got to get Hofer to join us on a show and do an interview with us.
He actually signed it for me on a opening night. So
awesome.
That's great.
This is his gold medal round jersey. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's very
awesome.
I'm pretty sure it is.
No, actually, I only wear it like once in a while because it's a giant jersey. It's a size 40.
It's huge. Yeah,
it is gigantic. The
it's
first time I wore it, actually, like the week after I got it, I got a picture with me and Hofer, me and him wearing our jerseys. My dad ended up having to roll my sleeves up because they were so like my hands were like in the sleeve.
Yeah, it's because they're all goalie cut, and so his is going to be so wide, and his arms are going to be so much bigger to handle everything underneath his pads and everything.
Yeah,
right. Hat trick in Dallas. Dallas up 3-1. Natural hat trick.
It's so special to me.
I would imagine so.
It's like my only piece of him that I have.
Awesome.
He'll deny it every time you try to.
Do you know what happened to me? I ordered a Thunderbirds jersey on eBay, and this guy had 100% feedback. 100% feedback. It was $119. Guess what I got?
You got crap.
I got a printed, not sewn on Thunderbirds jersey, and on one sleeve it's the Thunderbird logo, and on the other sleeve it's the Florida Panthers logo.
I have a Panthers one in my closet that is one size too small.
Yeah, I'll have to post it sometime because I got it and I left a negative review, and eBay ended up giving me my money back and told me not to send it back. So I've still got it.
Actually, the jersey I'm wearing right now is actually signed by the entire Thunderbirds team.
Last year's or what year?
This year and last year.
This year and last.
Yeah, it's great. Sam's got so many awesome hockey stories. I'm freaking jealous from Matt Lowe. That's great. So we've got a little bit of time left. I want to grade the 5 areas of hockey for the Blues this season. We've graded all the players.
I got to go real quick. I just wanted to jump in. Sorry if I sounded mean. I don't mean to sound mean. I'm just very forceful with my opinions. So it's nice to see. I think I met you once before, or I left a message and you made a comment on it here. But thanks for joining Guy again, and thanks for being on the show, and thanks for talking goalies with me. I appreciate it.
Okay, Lance, thank you. Pull him out. Okay, so now we're going to grade the team's overall, right? We did the individual grades. Now we're going to do the overall. Lance is a grumpy old goalie. I will agree with you with that. We'll start with offense, and for me, it's hard to grade the offense because there was two separate offenses. You had pre-Montgomery and post-Montgomery, and post-Montgomery it was an A, pre-Montgomery it was an F. So overall, I think overall the offense has more to give. So I will give the offense a B.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on, I gotta do something real quick. There we go. Take that off. There we go. So you're agreeing with that, a B for the offense. Okay, let's go to the second area, defense. Again, you have pre-Montgomery defense and post-Montgomery defense. Pre-Montgomery defense was the focus, but leaky, and I think it was probably a C minus. The Montgomery defense was, because there was such a more because the focus was more on the offense, they weren't on defense as much, so it made the defense better. I think overall, I'm going to stick with a B for the defense. All right.
Yeah, I can agree with that one.
I'm a forward. I got to give goalies crap. Power play. Power play for me, same thing. You have pre-Montgomery, post-Montgomery. The only thing you don't have pre-post-Montgomery is goaltending, right? Goaltending didn't change, but the power play, again, pre-Montgomery sucked. Post-Montgomery was better. I'm going to give the power play, though, a D+. Right? I think it could have, I mean, overall, and I have to go pull the stats up here real quick. Overall, the Blues ended up in 16th in power play. So right there in the middle, but they were so crappy for so long. I just think it could have been so much better. And that they move players on. I'm going to stick with a D+. You can probably give them a C-, but I'm going to stick with a D+.
Somewhere in the CD range.
All right. Then when you get to the penalty kill, same thing, pre-Montgomery, post-Montgomery, and pre-Montgomery, it sucked. But it didn't get much better. They ended up in 28th. I'm giving the penalty kill, 74.2%, tied with Anaheim, right? And they weren't that far above Detroit, who had the worst penalty kill. It was better in the power in the playoffs. In the playoffs, it was pretty decent. But overall, I'm going to stick with a D-. I think that the special teams, like, area of concern last year, my number one area of concern at the beginning of the season was the offense. My number one area of concern right now, going into next year, without not knowing what changes they're going to make, is the power play. And my level of concern is an 8. Right? It's up there. And my second would be the penalty kill. And my level of concern would be an 8. I mean, they're both really, really up there. So that special teams absolutely have to be changed. And I don't know if they can be changed, or I know they can be. I just don't know how quickly. You know what I mean? It's not like all of a sudden, well, sometimes it is. I don't know. I just feel like it's going to take a little bit of work, right? But I feel like this team has a lot of potential, and sometimes potential doesn't go anywhere. So that's what I'm hoping it doesn't give. Last area is goaltending, and for me, goaltending is an easy. I give goaltending I mean, if you look at where the team was, goals against per game, they were 21st at 2.82. I got that wrong. Hold on. I got that wrong. Hold on. Goals against per game, they were 12th, 2.82. They were one of the better. Goaltending is not a concern, right? I'm giving goaltending an A.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think they have one of the best in the top 5 tandems, like A and B. That their A and their B are both very, very good. They don't have a really, really good A and then a crappy B, and then a crappy B. They got a 1A and a 1B, and not a lot of teams have that. And I think that for me, they can definitely bring that to a new level, and I'm very happy with that. Sam,
I don't really. The goalies are great except for Benner.
you may not like Benner off the ice, but Benner on the ice, he does his job, and he does it very, very well.
I think if I ever get a chance to like meet him, I'll have like a different opinion. But from like what I've heard, it's like I can only base it from like what I've heard from people.
And I can absolutely understand where you're coming from, and I have a feeling that next season you may get a chance to talk to some veteran guys, like some, like I could see a veteran guy or two maybe being in a little bit, and you might get a different opinion from them, right? 6-5 is my biggest concern both ways. We couldn't score with extra men, empty net. We gave up. Yeah. And we gave up against the. Yeah, I agree. That is, but I guess that kind of goes with offense to me, right? That goes with offense. 6-5. That's kind of like special teams almost, right? To me, that's like special teams. That's your power play, right, or your penalty kill, right? If you're not good on your penalty kill, I don't see you being good 6-on-5 against, for or against, right? If you're not good on your power play, you're not going to score goals when you need to. If you're not good on your penalty kill, you're not going to prevent goals. So, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Hull was. I agree with that. Right. Hull, and some people I've heard so many different opinions on Hull. I've heard people that absolutely love him to death, and I've heard people that hated him. I've met him twice, and I have good experiences with him. He's like the guy that I want to get on the show. Like I would love. He's a guy I would try and talk to 2 hours with, and would enjoy every moment of it because there's so much. Right. He's one of those guys that I'd love to separate the myth from the legend. Right. Because I'm sure there's some out there that's legend and some out there that's myth. And I'd love to separate the truth from the myth and the legend. I really would, right? But the Sean Avery story on Brett Hull is one of the best that I've ever heard, and it to me it's Hull in a nutshell. And Sean Avery was I forget who he was. He was on Detroit at the time, and there was another player, I forget who it was, but Avery started to give him crap. And Avery was a young player, and Avery was a jackass anyway. Only met him post career. I met him during career. So yeah, most of the horror stories are from his playing days. I know that, but I forget who it was, but Avery was giving the guy crap, and Brett Hull yanked him onto the bench and said, "You don't talk to him that way. He's Mr. So-and-so." And I forget who the player was to you. Wow. And that's like Avery goes, that was Hull, and Avery's like, from that point on, that's how I treated him, but that's who Hull was. Hull respected the game more than people gave him credit for. He really, really did. Right. And that's why I don't, when I hear the Bennington stories and the things like that, it makes me wonder if he does respect the game that much that it leads into that. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. And like from like some of the story, like one of the stories that I heard is, like when I talked to Walker through Torpo, because Torpo was texting him, and I had to see how Hofer was doing, and Walker was like, "Yeah, Bennington's like this great guy," and it's like, are we talking about the same goalie here?
And here's the difference. What's the difference between Walker and Torpachenko? There's a huge difference, and it's age. Right? You're talking Walker is a 32, 33-year-old guy. I think Torpo's 27 or 28.
Yeah, Torpo's like 2 years younger than me.
Okay. You're 30?
I'll be 30 next year. I'm 29.
Wow, I would have never guessed that. I thought you were like 19 or 20.
Yeah, you're not the only one. The guys think that exact same thing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, wow, you've got me there. But in that 4-year age difference, you got to look at Walker played with Ovechkin. Okay? Walker played with guys like that had a huge amount of respect for the game itself. And you didn't break that. You didn't mess with that. And I think Bennington is along those same lines. So Walker sees Bennington for what he is, a guy that respects the game.
Right.
And you have to earn that. And I think that's where some of these younger guys who haven't gotten there yet, that's where this is coming from. But as they get there, that's going to change. That perspective is going to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm just like worried more like Devo, because he's never really experienced things like that. He's only going to be 20 this year.
Yeah.
Like
that is where Montgomery comes in. That's where Thomas comes in. That's where that's really where Kairu's going to come in. That's where Kairu is the guy that I think can help Dvorsky more than anybody else.
I mean, like, I've seen the pictures of like Devo when his first call up. He was close to like Shen and all of those guys, and it's like, but you don't realize, what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, and I see that.
I think that's
apparently
like
I'm letting my fandom take over. I don't look. I want my goalie to be a dick. On the ice, I want him to be a dick because those are some of the best goalies. And if I'm letting my fandom take over, I'm letting my fandom take over, Matlow. Right? Well, Sam, thank you for a wonderful hour and a half. I know it's late on your end. You have a great night. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for joining us. I am going to try and break this up and make some shorts out of it and see if we can do that. I'm going to kind of work on that. So, guys, have a great night. Sam, have a great one. And we'll go out the way it's the best to go out. Hey, boys, how do we go out?
Hawaii Blues fan, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
There we go, Sam. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
I had a great show. Have a good one, Sam. Bye now.